How's everybody doing out there? Has anybody ever wondered the pandemonium from the Madden video game every year, year in, year out? Just every year it's always you hear the talk about Madden, Madden this, Madden that. Well, for those who don't know about Madden, you're in the right place today, to learn about Madden. So today we are at Solano Community College, the TV studio. I'm here joined with Mike, Dorian, and Anthony. So today we're going to get into our first topic of discussion, the iconic aspects of Madden. So, Madden was actually made in 1988 on an Apple computer, and, 1988 computers weren't that good back then. And it was crazy because Madden actually got what $100,000 to endorse the game. And he didn't want the game to be associated with him if it wasn't realistic as possible. So back then, you think about computers, the RAM and stuff like that. The developer was telling Madden, I can only do 7 on 7. Madden's like, well, you have to make it realistic as possible. 11 defense, 11 offense. He actually put real world plays into Madden. And, that was very big. You have any history on Madden, Mike?
Yeah, with that aspect, Madden then jumped into another aspect. Remember, John Madden had won the Super Bowl in 1976.
Right.
And 1977, he kind of stepped back. Then he was kind of going to another experience. He wanted to do journalism. He wanted to bring realism to football.
Right.
And we know John Madden is he's like a open character. He does a lot of just everything. He makes you laugh.
Yeah.
He makes you look at the game seriously, funnily. He just makes the game much more of a wholesome. Like he gives you that real, true energy. And I read an article in the USA Today by a journalist by the name of Mike Freeman.
Right.
So Mike Freeman wrote that Tim Hawkins was a designer of the game at Electra Arts, which now is EA Sport. They pretty much put the real aspects. John Madden stated, like you said, he didn't want the game to come out unless it had real time information about the game,
Right.
real time plays,
Right.
coaches and players' names,
Yep.
all these things, these aspects added to the game.
Yep.
And that was something that was really iconic because most games that were out didn't have that type of feature.
Right.
So this gave people a much more insight to, hey, this is new. This is something brand. This is something extremely just it's great. Something new to play. So that was one of the most historic things about the game that brought to life to us to play this game, made us fans of it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why the Madden franchise has beat out all the competition. Like for my generation, you had multiple football games that was giving Madden a run for their money at that time. You had NFL Game Day, you had NFL Quarterback Club, you also had NFL 2K, and all you hear now is Madden in the discussion when you talk about NFL football games. Did you have any from your generation?
My generation, I would say one of the most iconic games at that time was Tecmo Bowl.
Right.
Tecmo Bowl had the players. It had some of the little attributes where you can watch your player go get healed and then run out and the little nurses will wave at them.
Right.
And then when you seen that on Madden, they brought more of an aspect of letting you know the player's being injured, he's getting carried off the field.
Yeah.
It brought more of a realism aspect.
Right.
So it kind of pushed Tecmo Bowl out of the way
Right.
because Madden was much more like it was just so realistic. It had too much features that would be actually put in a real NFL game that you would see.
Definitely.
So that was the game of the day for me, Tecmo Bowl. And also another game was 10-Yard Fight.
Right.
It kind of died out too also.
Yeah, like when you speak of the realism, they actually use like motion balls to get real movement from players. That's very interesting. And then even, Madden iconized a lot of other aspects. Like for me, 2005 with Ray Lewis on the front, we want to talk about the hit stick. Now, the hit stick was when you're able to flick the right analog stick and lay down a big boom. And we're talking about boom. And what would happen was a turnover would happen, a big hit, or we don't condone violence, but an injury would happen. So can you imagine, injuring a star quarterback on the first play, and now the team you're playing against is now just one dimensional. You're gonna win the game, and so my favorite team at that time was the Ravens. You had Peter Bulware, you had Terrell Suggs, you had Ray Lewis, and you had Ed Reed, all delivering big hits. So was there any iconic things for you for Madden, Jordan?
Yeah, my my favorite Madden was the year before that when Mike Vick was on the cover.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, four.
yeah, right. And having a quarterback, with wheels like that, we used to be able to just get around.
Yeah,
And it was just a real cheat code. But
it
then,
was.
like you was talking about with the hit stick, man, you delivering the boom, and
Yeah.
it's always a lovely feeling. Especially like I got older brothers, you know what I mean. I can never beat them up, so when you smack one of their players,
Yeah.
they gotta gotta take a little moment for them to get put on a stretcher and all that, get a little pride, feel a little
Right.
strong that day. So
Yeah.
it's always been a good thing for me, just to just go out there and have fun with your partners, and it's just like these quarters be short sometimes. So especially when you're able to change the game like that, get somebody rattled on the couch, you love it. So
Yeah.
this has always been the move.
Definitely. What about you, Anthony? You had any aspects of Madden Iconics?
like you said about the statistics,
Yes.
they brought it back in about the first rate and like speed.
Right.
That was my favorite part. And also the button smashing for the football fumble.
Right. Yeah. And I don't think the button smash is in it anymore.
Mm,
Oh,
no, I think they took it out.
yeah, they took it out because what would happen is you would have to rapidly tap X to see who gets the ball if a fumble actually
Yeah,
occurred. Yeah, and yeah, the new hit stick is definitely more realistic because we're talking about an '05. Anybody could lay the big boom. We're talking about a punter could lay the big boom on you, and you're sitting there like, how can let's go say just for example, Jerome Bettis, the bus, and Derrick Henry. How can a punter actually lay a big boom on a good running back like that? But I could definitely see why they add more realistic to it because we're talking about a cornerback that's what 165, 185, and you're going against a tight end. More than likely you're going to get trucked. So you just laid the hit stick on yourself essentially. When you went in for the hit stick, now you're on the ground, you're on your back. So yeah, that was definitely iconic. One thing, EA and Madden are always trying to be innovative, but one thing they did that was not very iconic was the quarterback vision. Oh man, anybody remember the quarterback vision?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
that was '06 with Donovan Nab on the front. Like you remember Dory?
yeah. I remember that.
Yeah,
I'm a defensive player,
right,
so
right.
I love free gifts.
Yeah.
Quarterback vision was my vision. When you lock in certain players or just one side of the field, man,
Right.
I can get there. I mean, you're telling me where to go, and sometimes if you're losing at that moment in time, when you just need a pick me up, bro, just start passing the ball because it's easy, man. Quarterback vision was very horrible if you was trying to play quarterback, but.
Yeah, it's very horrible. And for those who don't know what quarterback vision is, it's actually when you use the right analog stick to actually make the quarterback look in the direction of the receiver. So if you pan right, it would pan right. If you pan left, it would pan left. The problem with that was it would highlight the receiver. So now the whole defense know where you're throwing the ball. So now
Yeah.
it's a pick six guaranteed, guaranteed,
Mhm.
guaranteed. And another, alleged aspect of Madden is the Madden curse. And it's very unfortunate that, time after time, athletes who actually done on the cover of Madden actually get injured that year, that following year, or have a terrible season. Now, we can go back as far as 2005. When we speak of 2005, Ray Lewis, he actually pulled his hamstring. Then you want to talk about '06 with Donovan Nab on the front of Madden '06, he tore his ACL. Then you want to talk about even as recent as 2025, Christian McCaffrey, he tore his Achilles tendon. So, you guys know anything about the Madden curse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say like with the Madden curse,
Yeah.
you would see people now online, they're pretty much just betting on any person that gets on the front cover
Right.
being injured. They'll say, okay, maybe I'll give him a month, 2 months, I'll give him right when the season starts, I'll give him right in the playoffs.
Wow.
But it always occurs, it always happens. Like it's
Right.
like a ongoing theme. It
Right.
never stops.
Right.
And that Madden curse has been like a franchise history for every person that dons the cover of the Madden game.
Man.
Yeah, like I'm just being a fan, like I feel like that's just fans, bro. I kind of feel like that's us naming our MVP, people's champ, right? And kind of feel like it sucks because like you want your favorite player or whatever to be on the cover, but then you don't want them to be on the cover because these type of things happen, and like you guys was talking about, it happened like year after year, and you get shook up about it because usually if he's your favorite player, he a lot of people's favorite player, or but just the target on their back because you know what I mean. This generation, all those NFL players grew up playing Madden, so
Right.
they have it in their house and they got a scheme against you on Sunday, bro. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they feel some type of way with, they turn on this game and the first man they see is you. You do their homework all week. It's no avoiding that target. So,
Right. Yeah, being on the cover of Madden does create a big target in the NFL. So we want to talk about the success of Madden. In a U.S. Today article by Lorenz Rage in December 29th, 2021, at that time, Madden actually sold over 130 million copies. And that's real big. You want to speak on the success of Madden, Mike?
Yeah, on the success of Madden, I read an article in the U.S. Today by John Rousseau. It said that Madden pretty much sold over 130 copies, gross $5 billion. And that was also with the passing of John Madden because the game is like a cultivated game. Like it's like a cult, a following.
Right.
Everybody loved John Madden game
Right.
all over the world.
Yeah.
So when he passed away, people grieved. They wanted to have a piece of John Madden with
Right.
them. They wanted to have some type of memorabilia. They want to have something.
Right.
So those sales went up, skyrocket to 5 billion. So that's iconic right there.
yeah, I feel like because of Madden, like me personally, I kind of feel like I know commentators like that, like Chick Hearn and like Stuart Scott, and like when they was dying, you know what I mean? You start thinking like, you know what I mean? But we got all this from a young age from Madden, where now we start paying attention to him everywhere. Like look at Tom Brady trying to be a commentator now,
Right.
or we've seen Dion and Randy, and it's like,
Yeah.
so it's like you kind of feel like you grew up with these people, especially like when they stuck in the game and you recognize their voices, but that
Yeah.
all started with Madden.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we're going to get into our next topic of discussion. It's the new business model that companies are using for consumers, and I have mixed feelings about it, and we're going to get onto that subject. So now there's a ultimate team actually mode where in a sense it's a franchise no, not franchise, fantasy like fantasy league.
Yeah.
So you have to purchase players and points with real actual money. And how you guys feel about that? How you feel about that?
I like it as like a business point of view, but like for us,
Yeah.
we're messing with what we want to save up for, like say
Mhm.
car parts or groceries, gas, food, electric bills. So you mostly focus on the game. You're not really thinking about the other stuff. So it's too late.
Definitely. So yeah, people are spending a lot of money and they're not handling their responsibilities like you said. They'd rather spend their money on virtual currency to buy player packs rather than, like you said, their bills. And that is astronomical. But how you guys feel about, the new pay to play type?
Pay to play to me, it's not really something I really like. But now with all gaming systems,
Right.
you have all these type of different players on the game that they want you to unlock. And instead of going through the game process of playing the game
Right.
to build to unlock them, people say, you know what? I'll just pay $10 and get that favorite player. And
Right.
when they get that favorite player, sometimes people lose a little control. We remember we're playing with kids.
Mhm.
We're playing with adults. We're playing with also younger kids.
Right.
And when they get a hold of their parents' credit card or debit card, they can run it up.
Yeah.
And sometimes these parents been known to see that they have a $5,000 charge on their card, and their kid then got all these players on their team a 99%. They got the cleats, they got the new jerseys, they got everything that they want for their team.
Right.
And with the play to play, it also makes an unfair team because you have a team that's like at 100%.
Hmm.
Everybody's 100%.
Hmm.
The defense, the offense, the special teams.
Right.
How can you beat a team like that?
Definitely.
That's not a normal thing to me. So I think the pay to play is kind of a cheat code
Right.
in a way.
Yeah. I don't like it just based on the fact that, money wise, man, I feel like you can go to the Super Bowl with the money you spending on Madden.
Yeah.
Like when you
Yeah.
talking about Ultimate Team and you buying all these player packs and you buying all this virtual currency, you spending all this real money to win fake games with fake teams and fake Super Bowl rings, bro, with real dough.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
this is a game for everybody, like Michael was talking about,
Mhm.
like, parents got to go to work.
Yeah.
So, they come back and you just wiped away a whole paycheck, like that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not, you don't want to get hit stick, like so.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, and I just feel like we was talking about like just taking the fun about the game, the grind about the game, and it sucks for people who not only don't have the money, don't have the financial needs, or just need like, or it's like a space to relax, but can't relax if somebody's beating up on you every time you play the game because they
Yeah.
didn't put 200, 300 up in this, and you just in it for for the thrill at the time. So kind of feel like it just takes a little bit away from the game, but
Right.
it's its own.
Yeah, because I actually have mixed feelings about it, like you guys said, because I start with what Ultimate Team with a 60 overall.
Mhm.
But the different aspects of buying the player packs, I actually experienced this problem myself. It was a Barry Sanders pack.
Mhm.
And it wasn't even 100% chance that I would get the Barry Sanders legend itself. It was like maybe a 3.9% chance. So here it is. I bought three packs and I have to choose out of eight legends. And guess what? Barry Sanders is not in. So it's like, wow, I just spent this real money on there. But the mixed feelings is that you are getting these players like fantasy league and historical players, and it's actually growing more interest about them. But you have to spend that money. It's like, wow, like before, they had the all Madden teams and the historical teams, even when you press R1 or, and you see the 1970 Rams and
You
things
want to
like
know
that.
something crazy?
Yeah.
There's no carryover.
Yeah.
So
You spend all your money this year. If 2000 when Madden 2026 comes out,
You got to spend
it
it again.
spend it again. And we're talking about the new business model. So initially you buy the game for what, $60. That's just the basic version. They have deluxe versions for $99. But then you're spending more money for Madden points, Madden coins, player packs. So that initial $60 you spent at the end of the year costs upwards of $500. So, companies are making big money off of just that. And it's actually causing kids depression and anxiety because here it is in the store, the Madden store, a player pack comes out only available for 24 hours. So now they're trying to figure out how they can get this money to get that. And then guess what? In 24 hours, a new 24-hour pack comes out. Then after that, a seasonal pack comes out, a Christmas pack comes out, a Thanksgiving pack come out, then a flash sale pack come out. So it's causing anxiety of, calling uh, FOMO, fear of missing out. So now you got players, trash talking like, oh, you don't even have the season one, week one debut player pack, so it's definitely causing a lot of,
yeah, yeah, like I said, like, you know, uh, like kids wise,
right,
like first off, for some of these kids, you got to build up courage to even ask for this pack.
right,
By the time you get it, you get enough oomph to you to even ask, that pack can be gone.
definitely,
And like you said, the FOMO, and then people sitting there talking to you about it, like
Yeah.
Like you even had the opportunity, you might have, you might have been budgeting that,
Yeah.
and here you go, just missing out, man. Now might like I said, it's just a little small drop, it's just a slippery slope. That's just how I feel. Like just in time, you're just able to grind for these things.
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. How you feel about pay to play, Stephen?
Uh, I like it,
Mm-hmm.
but like you said, but got be encouraged to ask your parents.
hmm
I'm be scared to ask my parents for
yeah,
money because
Yeah.
hmm
I know they got stuff to do like pay.
Mhm.
So
Right. And it's very interesting when you talk about, children using their parents' credit cards and just, running up without their, knowledge of it. Because in a Rolling Stones article by Chris Edgerton in September 8th, 2024, they said that, video games like Madden is now using predatory practices like, the fear of missing out. So now you're causing anxiety and sending kids and adults even over the edge, like I gotta get these points, I gotta get these points. And like you said, no rollover. You wanna touch bases on that, Mike?
Yeah, like peer pressure is a theme now.
Right.
Everybody always wants to get the now. Remember, we live in a microwave mindset where everything has to be done fast.
Right.
So when you're seeing your friends on there, they have everything that's cool. And like Dorian was saying, I was chiming what he was saying, he made a good point. When you're coming from a financial standpoint of a home that doesn't have tons of money,
Right.
but your friends may come from a financial standpoint, they have more money
Right.
and you want to fit in with them, that's when peer pressure kicks in. Now you're trying to be cool with the cool kids.
Right.
So you may, like I was saying, may want to sneak your parents' car
Mhm.
to get those things,
Right.
but you don't know. Like he was saying, you're going to end up getting the broomstick when you're at home.
Yeah.
You don't want to get a spanking for doing that, but you also want to fit in. So, um, the new pay to play model and the new thing by these companies, and especially one of the games that we love the most,
Mhm.
John Madden football, because we all grew up with this game
Yeah.
from every age, from 8 to 80. There's
Mhm.
people out there playing it right now
Right.
that's older than us.
yeah.
It's an icon game. So I don't know if they really understand that point, but that's why we're having this discussion. So we can enlighten people to let them know that this is something that they need to really look into and kind of understand. Like Dorian was saying, you're paying almost as much to go to a Super Bowl game.
Man,
I
that's
think they should
crazy.
give some type of attribute and say, hey, if you purchase this right here and purchase that on the game, we'll give you free tickets to any of your football teams that you like just one ticket. I can just go see my football team.
Right.
That'll be pretty cool.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I can see why, like you're saying, the business model is bad for the consumer because you have to spend money, but it's good for the company because they're getting the initial purchase of the game as well as residuals after the purchase. So, it might actually help them with more research, make the game more realistic, more profits to pay more, staff and things of that nature. So that's why I said I had mixed feelings. But now we're going to go into our third topic. What is the very best benefits of Madden? There's a lot of benefits of Madden, and yeah, we're going to get into this discussion. So, what are the benefits of Madden? I feel as in a Rolling Stone article written in October 6, 2017, high school players and coaches are now using Madden to teach schemes, hot routes, audibles, and plays. And I thought that was big. You incorporate, the real world with the virtual world because you can't always, get through to some people and people learn differently. And that is definitely real big. Yeah. So what has been a benefit of Madden for you?
like to be able to like compare Madden to real life football, where I can watch the plays before the quarterback snaps the football.
Right, right.
Because Madden
Mhm.
has the rights to have the real football team's playbooks.
Right.
So
Yeah. And they have been having the rights since I believe 2002 to 2002 or 2004 to 2022 as NFL license, right? And that is really big, big, like you were saying. I myself didn't know some plays, And then when I looked at Madden, I understood what a two gap was, a four gap was when running the ball, or even, just different routes, the curl route, the in out, the post route, streak route, the comeback, the in, the out, 5 yard, 10 yards, Has anything benefited you guys like that?
Yeah, so in the article in the U.S. Today by Jacob Canemaker in June 4th, 2025, he talked about the engine, the Frostbite engine. The Frostbite engine is the new engine for the game, like basically the AI that has a response time. The first one was the Infinity engine, so they upgraded to the Frostbite. So this one has much more of a realistic, because right now we use a quantum technology
Right.
and autonomous robots that are thinking pretty much in the game. They're thinking about you, and every time you make an audible, these robots will change up. They will actually watch what you're doing. If you switch your quarterback to run and he's talking to the players, they're running back.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you see, boom, they switch up their defense.
Right.
It's like, wow, this game is knowing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And if you repeat the same type of movements,
Yeah.
boom, they'll end up trying to block you, stop you. They'll even make plays designed to target you specifically or that player,
Right.
to prevent you from getting that first down. So with this new gaming engine, it's like technology is popping fast, and I like that point because it gives me something to learn against and have strategies and make strategic plans on how to move. But also, it's a game changer because a lot of games they don't offer that.
Right.
And this is iconic for them to have that on John Madden football.
Yeah, definitely. And then I did see the announcement that EA is actually having the AI learning engine learn over decades of film and plays and playbooks. So yeah, that was really big. Was there any benefits of Madden?
Yeah, man. Life, man.
Yeah.
I got two older brothers.
Right, right.
So this was a bridge for me and my older brothers. Like, being the youngest, they kind of been through everything as I'm like getting into it. So this is this was the communication part for us, and we got a single mom, so she had no clue what we talking about when we playing Madden. She just don't know. It's not her cup of tea. She got too much stuff to do, and you know what I mean. We can have these men conversations, we can have these life conversations, and you so focused on the game at the time, you open up and you ease into these conversations. Like Mike was bringing to my attention earlier, like it just bring you into a relaxed state of mind, and you get comfortable with the people you're talking to because you still got a purpose at hand, which is to win. So like we can talk about that right now, bro. But I still need you to run this and get there.
Yeah.
But I've been a skinny kid all my life, and I've been outside playing football all my life. So when it came to like getting on these fields and Pop Warner in high school, you can't be everything. So it also put me on the totem pole, let me know where I was at on the food chain, and where you got to learn how to run these routes, and you
Right.
got to learn how to play these defenses, and you got to read this stuff. So Madden did all that for me, you know what I mean? And yeah, like so, just really life, bro. Yeah, that's my benefit from it. Go a long way with me.
Right. And that's very interesting you brought that up, you're playing with your brothers and, just the social interaction of Madden. Now you can play online where it's international. I can be right here and play somebody in Brazil or Europe or anything like that. And because COVID happened, social interaction was actually down. And now that can actually open people up. Do you have any benefits of Madden? Yeah.
For people who wants to play like football,
Yeah.
they can learn the plays, styles, or the names of each plays.
Right.
In case the coach says anything,
Right.
he can step up and say, trying to help the coach for anything.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, play recognition is a big because you're actually seeing the playbook. When you press these controller prompts, what a run is, what a route is, and actually having that, just knowing that is definitely big before you get on the field because I've been playing Madden this whole summer. Now you go to football tryouts. Oh, I know exactly what this play is. I know exactly what this format is or formation is. The wildcat or the shotgun or single back, go different formations and stuff like that. And yeah, it's definitely, and we'll speak about some more of the benefits of Madden is the increased interest of Madden just internationally because the NFL actually has hosted games in Europe, Mexico City, as well as other places, and you're playing people international, and it's like wow, like you guys know about Madden? Like I'm playing somebody in a whole nother country, and that's really big. That's really big because in Madden 2001 with Eddie George on the front, they actually had European football teams, and I'm not going to name all of them, but they had Roaring Fire on there, and they were a 60 overall, going against who we had back then 2001. I was playing with the Titans. You had
Okay. Eddie
what
George,
And
Eddie
George
George, Frank
McNair.
Wycheck, R.I.P. McNair. Yeah,
there,
definitely.
yep.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So that actually piqued my interest. Has anything like that happened to you guys?
Yeah, I would say chiming on what you were speaking about, the benefits of it.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with little kids,
Mhm.
you're dealing with teenagers,
Mhm.
they all think different.
Right.
I mean, they're going through their own social issues at home.
Right.
They're going through their own problematic issues with being mature,
Right.
their hormones.
Mhm.
But one thing you can understand is that we all have a favorite player. We like Dorian said, we all have somebody we like on the team,
Right.
like you were saying,
Yeah.
somebody that we look up to.
Mhm.
These games now, the benefits of them, they're bringing in the players' actual movements,
Right.
the real movements, the dancing. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
And then kids, as a coach, you may not get the kids to listen to you, but boom, you put on a game of John Madden Football 25, they'll all of a sudden gain an inch. Oh, that's my game. I play what's name. And then now people they didn't speak to on the team, they may start having cohesion because they like the same player.
Right.
Now it's easier for them to get along. Now you can show them practice plays.
Mhm.
You can because the game now has where you can practice.
Oh yeah.
All plays you can practice.
Right.
So if they weren't chiming in on you as a coach, talking to you, but they're chiming in with each other because they like the game,
Right.
that gives now a benefit. That gives something that can make them bond. You can bond with them.
Right.
Now you can talk with them. Now you see the cohesion in the team. Now you see them coming together. Now they're playing a game, they're learning the plays, and it becomes like a second nature to them when it comes to game day.
Yeah.
So that's one of the biggest benefits to me.
Right. Yeah, and even like you said, like speaking, definitely Anthony Mike was saying, just learning the plays. And for me, it was even geography. Like, um, imagine this, at one point I thought the New England Patriots was in Europe until I actually played the New England Patriots on Madden, and it said Foxborough, Massachusetts, and I'm like, wait, New England is in America, like wait. So now you're actually learning, the stadiums and things like that, the locations, the players, you can create a player, the equipment, the difference between quarterback pads and defensive pads, and even face masks, I used to use Mike Allstott. He had a full cage face mask with a visor with a bullhorn and with a neck roll, and you can put that on the player. So now you're just learning equipment, not only the plays, and was very big. Learning that, just learning from that. Yeah, it was real big.
Ultimately, it's still football. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the crazy thing about football is like, like if you don't get it in the class, you can't get on the grass. So, like
Yeah.
you got to go to college, you got to be there for 3 years to even go to the NFL. So,
Right.
any goal you get from being a little kid playing Madden, like, you know what I mean? And that starts kicking into a goal, you still have to like do what you need to do in school.
Right.
So, it's always, I feel like it's a gateway in all types of ways, man. Like you guys was talking about, like especially, seeing everything everywhere, I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I said, man, I'm gonna go get it, so I'm one of these. So, but yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed us today. I'm here with Mike, Dorian, Anthony, and I hope you learned something new about Madden. If you didn't know anything about Madden, I hope you learned about Madden. And I hope to see you guys soon online so I can lay down that boom stick on you. Hit stick. Yeah, so yeah, I'm Daryl, by the way. Definitely. Yeah. Enjoy your day.
The exponential growth from the program from my first year to my third year now, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me excited and just like fulfills me as a person.
It's so impressive, and we every time we walk in here, you guys are doing something different. It's great. It's
nothing but opportunities here, and we have sports to cover, we have the equipment.
Because the more ambitious you are, the more opportunities you'll have.
On-the-job training is huge.
You get the hands-on experience.
When someone asks who can do it, you know, you can raise your hand and say, I can do it. So
Joining the class was the best decision I ever made.
Stand by, we're going to go to cut one. And cut one. Cross court to Audrey Jones. Audrey for three! It is good! With 1.3 seconds left on the game clock, Audrey Jones with one of the biggest shots.
the sky's the limit, really, with what we can do here.